Hi subscribers and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be diving into what my marketing team referred to as Defined Benefit Pension Transfer, Paul's Path to a 1 million DB pension transfer with Cameron James. This is one of my favorite client stories from the year of 2024. I'm going to break it down for you really quickly. Okay, so a client reached out to Jonathan, one of our senior financial advisors, last year, I believe in November 2023. They went through months and months of work together in terms of understanding and explaining what DB advice is, etc., etc., etc. In the summer of 2024, that's how long it can take, guys. That's how long it can take to understand DB pension transfers and feel confident enough to move forward in getting DB advice from the pension transfer specialist. Now, after months and months of work, our advisor received the following email from our client. My wife and I have now met with the IFA, which my former colleague used to advise him on his DB pension transfer. Firstly, online and more recently in person. After talking things through, we decided to use them going forward. This is no reflection on you or your service you've given today. It's just that we prefer a face-to-face approach and to use a company we've had a personal recommendation for from someone who's been through the advice process. Now, when I see an email like this as CEO, I know no conversation with a client is ever finished. And over the course of my 10 years, it's one of the best advice I can give to any advisor out there. If you want to work with someone, show them you want to work with them and fight for their business or fight for the transaction, whatever it might be. So what was really interesting with this, and I can't necessarily go into all the detail, but what ended up happening with this case was Jonathan actually forwarded the email to me because he was like, oh, okay, this is what's happened with this client. And we went back to the client. The long end of the story is the client has now decided to work with us and obviously doesn't want to work with the other financial advisor anymore. The way in which this happened was I just posed questions to the client. I asked him, I said, brilliant. You've had a recommendation from a friend of a financial advisor to use. That's fantastic. You basically now have the inside track on that financial advisor. You haven't got to rely on anything online. You can really get the information from your friend. So go and ask your friend, what has been the 5-year performance of your portfolio? What level of equity weighting and risk was taken inside that portfolio? And also, what were the costs of that portfolio over a 5-year period? And I said, if your friend is good enough for you to receive a referral from, for you to make a very life-changing decision of who you're going to work with, they should be a good enough friend to share this information with you. The client went away, did their homework, did their due diligence, and also we actually copy and pasted some questions they could ask the other financial advisor. Long story short, the client eventually came back and said, we now do not feel comfortable at all working with that financial advisor and we would like to work with you guys. Now, the reason for this is that we posed the right questions. If you have a client who's already on a pension transfer, that's not enough. Just because someone worked with someone, what you need to find out was what was the result, what was the outcome, what was the performance, cost, etc., etc. So now the client is currently going through his advice process with the pension transfer specialist here at Cameron James and obviously wants to work with us here at Cameron James should he decide to proceed with his DB pension transfer. But there's a quote that I put here that my team picked out, which I thought was really important. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. This is my quote that I said on an email chain when I was having the correspondence. In my 14 years of experience in pension transfers, the firm you feel most comfortable with in your gut for your long-term sound planning, transparency and growth and relationship in the company, is a company you should work with from day one. Okay? So in this instance, a client went out, did their own homework and research independently, used our YouTube channel, watched numerous videos before getting in touch, worked with our advisor for months and months and months. That was then nearly hijacked, potentially at the last minute, by a recommendation from a colleague at work. But whilst recommendations are extremely important, you have to go one step further than that. Ask your recommendation all of the information that's important. And there's another quote here from myself that I'd like to have as well. I said, you need a clear comparison on performance and risk. You need to know what level of risk your friend took in order to achieve that return and if it was a fair reward for the risk taken, and thus if the portfolio allocation was smart and efficient or poor and inefficient. And that was basically what helped the client to dig a little bit deeper. Who knows, we may end up working with the person who worked with the other financial advisor, but it's a really good example in anything like this. Don't just rely on hearsay from a friend, dig into the detail. And here at Cameron James, if you're working with us, but there's someone else out there, you're not sure, someone else what you want to work with and they're slightly cheaper, whatever it might be, ask us for references. Call our existing clients. Now you could say, oh, you can tell the client what to say. Yeah, technically we could, but nobody does that. Our clients that work with us for a reason. They've done their homework and diligence. You can really talk to them and ask them, what has your performance been? They might not share with you to the penny. They'll probably say, yes, performance of Cameron James has been very good. I haven't underperformed the market like I did previously in a lot of my DC pension pots or whatever it might be. So just a really nice success story for me here of clients doing things thoroughly and not just saying, oh, I'll go work this guy because someone said they were good. No, always do a deep dive. If you want to have a conversation with myself or Jonathan or one of our advisors here to understand what your DB pension transfer options are with the pension transfer specialist, kindly reach out using the calendar link below to find a day and a time at your suitability. There's some questions on the calendar link for you to fill in to make that first call as valuable for you as possible. And as always, take care of your UK pension assets.